Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 26th, 2018. It's MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I'm Goes. That's Dan. Donnie, here in your head, that's Danny Olkers. And you can kind of see Ray Sefo off there to the side.
2 minutes.
You know what's crazy? Is I always have to look at the date, and I'm not by my computer.
It's the 20th.
And I had to remember, because today is George's birthday. It was easy. It was an easy one. I caught a break today. Today's George's birthday, Ray.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, but I know what you're thinking. Who cares about George? When was your birthday? Mine was this Sunday. I was George's birthday present when we were kids.
Sunday gone?
Huh?
Sunday gone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Eric Nixek's birthday was Sunday or Saturday, right?
That's right.
Saturday, yeah.
Oh, so, yeah, because my son's birthday was the week before that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Supposedly it's a sign of intelligence.
Yeah, happy birthday. Thank you. Look at you.
I don't show off, Ray Sefo. Look at this guy.
Really?
Hey, happy birthday.
I had no idea.
49.
Oh my God,
He
happy
literally
birthday.
told him like
Coming
20
up in a
seconds
minute.
before that.
I had no idea it was your birthday.
You didn't wear your PFL shirt?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Not gonna match.
I was just about to cuss.
But that was the one you were gonna wear, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of those too. But black makes me look thinner, so.
Coming up in 30.
49, you look great.
Thank you.
You just turned 49?
Hey, yeah, today's my birthday. Thank you. You know how you were telling me you like Lionel Richie?
Yeah.
Let me suggest an old school band musician
All right, guys.
for you. I don't
Coming
know
up
if
in
you've
10.
heard of them.
Stand
Check out
by.
Carlos Santana if you ever get a chance.
I've been to see Carlos Santana.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Okay. Who's starting first? Oh, both
Well,
of them. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
You guys want to start off?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right.
I thought it was one at a time, but all right.
I think we should have Ray on the whole time and then just bring someone
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'!
Vinny, you can move this around.
And I was like almost in my mouth.
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution
One of these
is upon
things
us.
doesn't belong
PFL.
with the others. One of these things doesn't
There's
belong
no
with the
escape.
other. Where's your PFL shirt, man?
Pro subs.
Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission.
I think it's the first time hearing
Live
like,
from
these new
MMA
setup.
Junkie Radio HQ in the
Yep.
fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Forever.
Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Go.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our ace co-host. To my left, the fight analyst. He'll pop on. It's Dan Tom. To my far right, it's six-time world kickboxing champion and the president of the PFL, Ray Sefo, and one of the greatest grapplers to ever grapple, Abu Dhabi world champion and PFL contender, the #1 ranked heavyweight, Vinny Magalhaes.
Light heavyweight.
What did I say?
You said heavyweight.
Well, what do you weigh right now?
He's a heavyweight.
He's a heavyweight.
222.
Yeah. He's a light heavyweight. I'm sorry. That
No.
was a little bailout.
You don't be sorry. You
No?
want to know why?
Why?
Today's George's birthday. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Oh,
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
To everyone else, not me.
This is Vinny's first time in the studio. Are you sure?
Are you
It
sure?
is 100% sure.
So we haven't talked like in 2 years. Well, I mean,
Maybe longer.
aside from
Besides
seeing
the
at the
gym,
extreme.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I actually used your name the other day because we're always discussing how fighters can
experiment right now.
Yeah, how fighters can promote themselves. And I remember
He's
when
a loco there.
No, I don't.
I got my VIP card. We were talking about how the promotion can promote a fighter, but the promotion always has, it's not just one fighter they can promote because they have a lot of people in their stable. I think the fighters can do a lot on their own. And I remember when you used to come into our studio, everyone gravitated so much to you that when you had that run at M1 and you're fighting for the title, I mean, people were waking up early, like on a Friday or Saturday, or whenever the fights were, and cheering for you. You know what I mean? And so a lot can be done by the fighter themselves. Sometimes you can do your own vlogs, or you just do your own media. So the answer, honestly, is both can promote the fighter. It's both the promotion, but the fighter themselves. A lot of fighters just like to, no, it's not my job. No, it's just my job. I just play video games, whatever. It's like, no, man, it is your job,
Especially today's world. Today's world, with so much social media out there, I mean, it's up to the fighters to get out there as well.
Yeah,
I think we ended a show early once, right, just to watch his M1 fight.
We did. That's right. Yeah, that was quite a run we had with you. But, man, I'm sorry. I guess it's been too long. And now look at you. You're the #1 ranked light heavyweight, and $1 million is out there. Do you even think about the money, or is it more about just the fights first?
It's like a mix of feelings because, at the same time, definitely that's like, the type of money that's like could change your life if you're smart with it.
Right.
But there's the whole fact that I could have been winning like 5 fights in a year, get that 5-fight winning streak, and proving myself as one of the best fighters again, like my weight class. Definitely like in PFL, I feel like right now I'm the best guy. The numbers say that. But it's a little bit of both. Like, of course, the money matters. I don't know if I would have been in this format of tournament if it was for like $10. But $1 million makes a huge difference. But I don't know, man. I do want to win all the fights. That's the main thing. Like, I could walk out of that tournament, let's say, as a runner-up with like $200,000, a little bit more, almost $300,000 if you combine all the fights all together. It doesn't matter. It's not the point. Is not the money. The point is the fact that you went there and you proved yourself as the best guy in your weight class, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
The money is just like the extra
bonus.
The bonus. Yeah.
And it's been cool, Vinny, seeing. I don't mean any disrespect to your career prior to this, but I get there around 3 sometimes, and the practice is at 3:30. And you're like one of the first ones walking in, or you're out lifting weights. So what I like is that you elevated your pre-fight game, the intensity of your workouts. You're in great shape. You just told me a second ago that this is the lightest you ever walked. I remember I think you used to be like a 245 guy, and we'd be like, Jesus, is he going to make weight at M1, and now look at you, so very proud of you taking your game up. Because a lot of people feel like they peak, they plateau, and you've reached new levels. You're healthy. A lot of this game of what's happening with the PFL is not just winning the fights, but also being healthy. Now, I know that the minute you concern yourself too much about that, you can get hurt. Definitely. You know what I mean? But think about, I love Tyron Woodley. He just had a great fight, but he broke his hand. You know what I mean? So, if this was PFL, he may not be able to fight in the finals. But you've been able to conserve your health. And now you're ready to go, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's I took a different approach. Like once I signed with PFL, I decided not to have like camps per fights. I was like, the main thing is like when I was competing in jiu-jitsu, I would compete, and the next Monday I would be back in the gym and training. So I decided to do the same thing this time. So I have been training for the last 6 months nonstop. If I can recall, I think I took like 2 Sundays off over the last 6 months. And even the other Sundays after the fights, I was already back in the gym, like training. Like even if it was just to lift weights, just to run, or hitting pads, I was at least training once a day, like once on a Sunday, but no days off since. So it's like, I feel like that makes a huge difference because instead of like being working on getting myself in shape, I'm working like on improving skills, because like when people try to take time to take camps like 6 to 8 weeks, the first 2 weeks is like to get back in shape. So there's no there's not much like space for them to improve anything because they just try to focus on like get in shape. For me, I've been in shape, so my focus now is to improve the other like areas that I can still improve, and just make the things that I already do well, like just make them better. So I feel like I've reached like a different level. Yeah, I do have like a ton of losses in my career. I've had like ups and downs, like good wins, bad bad losses. But it's like I feel like if I can keep like the pace that I'm doing right now, like for the next like 2-3 years, I can literally go undefeated. Just like it depends on myself.
I know you're super competitive with yourself, and the one thing I was thinking about was you're not going to be the only millionaire. They have lots of weight classes, but the way you may be able to stand out is getting all finishes, all first rounds. Do you ever think about that?
That's the goal.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just telling him maybe a week and a half ago that he's the best shape I've ever seen him at, and then just seeing him constantly look in shape, get ready for fights. I mean, obviously the result speaks for itself. He's going out there, submits one guy and knocks another guy out. You know what I mean? And so, no, absolutely, I agree with George. You know, credit to you because you obviously understand what it takes to be the champion in PFL. But, you know, it's also that turning point of your career where you're coming out and finishing guys.
Yeah.
No, definitely. No. And if I look, not just like in jiu-jitsu or not just in MMA, but also in jiu-jitsu, if I look at all my best results, ATC, one-on-one worlds, in gi, like, you know, no gi, it was not when I was just training like, for like a camp for those tournaments. Like, you know, it was always about like when I was training, like giving 100% of my time, just dedicating myself 100% into training. And I was like, dude, so why did I decide to like out of nowhere start to do camps, like, you know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Just might as well just stay training, stay in shape, so that way, you know, it's going to be hard for people to catch up with me. There is a reason why, like, I've won, like, world titles in my sport, like, in jiu-jitsu, because, like, you know, I do have that kind of talent. And I don't feel like that as far as grappling, people don't have the talent. Like in MMA, there are very, very few guys, and none of my weight class right now, at least not in PFL, and not in the UFC, not like in other promotions. So it's like there's Drysdale that he's not fighting anymore. Who else can I call like in my weight class that has same skill level? Roger Gracie, he's down, right? So 2 guys, and that's it.
Look at Vinny's Americanized over here, calling him Roger Gracie.
It's Roger.
Hodger.
It's okay, Roger.
Thank you, Vinny. It is Roger.
It's Roger. But
hey, Ray, do you remember a certain point? Because a lot of people at Extreme Couture, just in the sport in general, they'll come to you for advice. And anything you say, they'll listen. You've seen guys like him grow up.
Right.
Do you remember a certain point where you felt comfortable now where he started to take those type of roles in the gym and be a guy that now they can go to him and ask him for advice?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Because he seems like he's matured so much.
Right. No, absolutely. I think in the last 6 months, and it's really awesome to hear him say, you know what, this is what I used to do when I was competing at jiu-jitsu, but now that I'm back in the MMA world, I'm signed to PFL, I'm going, wow, this is what I was doing when I was winning all these titles at jiu-jitsu competitions, so why change it? And it's funny he says that because even me, like myself, coming up in the rankings, and I would probably miss 2 days of training throughout every year until I got to K1, and that was my same routine. I constantly was in the gym. So obviously the result speaks for itself. But Vinny, in terms of jiu-jitsu and grappling, I mean, everybody goes to him. I mean, he's a master of what he does on the ground. But now that he's coming out and, you know, he's beating guys who are strikers, he's submitting guys in first rounds and knocking guys out first round. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's at that point now where I think his game is not only evolving, but he's becoming that complete fighter. So, yeah, 100%. Anybody in the gym that needs that kind of advice, Vinny's one of the guys to go to.
We'll be at your fight, too, in Long Beach. I put in my credentials. So let me set it up for you guys.
Awesome.
They have 3 weeks, the PFL does now that the regular season's over and it's time for the playoffs. It's PFL 8 in New Orleans. It's PFL 9 in Long Beach, California, and PFL 10 in Washington, D.C. However, do note that although they used to do the regular season on Thursday nights, the first one's going to be on a Friday.
Correct.
Right? Please confirm.
That's correct.
In New Orleans.
Yes.
So that's October 5th. And that one's going to feature the featherweights, and we have 4 of those featherweights on today's show. 2 will be in studio, and 2 will be on the phone, and the heavyweights, right? And then Vinny's on PFL 9. That's the following Saturday in Long Beach, California, and then the Saturday after that, it's in Washington D.C. Was there a reason for the moving these shows? You know, you came off Thursday night to the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for us, you know, Saturdays are good days for any, you know, to put on any shows because it means that you're gonna have a lot more people there. But Thursdays was also something that we wanted to capture on TV, where you know a lot of people don't really have too much to do on a Thursday night. So we kind of stayed with the Thursdays, and now that we're at the playoffs, it makes sense to move to Saturdays.
On the West Coast, too, it's better because of the traffic, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited to go to Long Beach. It's the same arena where I saw your former teammate Michael Chandler against Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah,
it was
a good one.
Yeah, it was a while ago. So yeah, it was really, really good crowd, and I know that we're gonna have some tickets to give away for that one as well, because I was told. So really, really excited. All right, Ray. You guys had some time off here in between the regular season and the playoffs.
Right.
What's been, I guess, I know that you didn't just tell everybody see you in 6 weeks. What have you guys been doing behind the scenes? Anything different from from the regular season to the playoffs? And in fact, more directly, explain to us how this first round of the playoffs is going to work. It's 2 fights in one night,
right?
And I believe there's a twist to the first round of each quarterfinal.
Correct. So, I mean, obviously, everybody's, 6 weeks off is really not that much at all when, because before you know, we're only 2 weeks away. I mean, now we're literally maybe a week and a half away. You know what I mean? So, everybody's still, busy doing what they do. But yeah, in the quarterfinals, in the first round of all the playoffs,
right?
There's 2 rounds in the quarterfinals,
right?
And it's really important to note that in those 2 rounds, there's a possibility of having a draw.
Right.
So whoever wins the first round will then win the fight if it goes to a draw. And the thing about that, too, is that I think it's fair that that the 2 fighters are not only fresh, they're coming to start. So it really kind of puts it out there to the fighters that you got to come out and fight, right?
Right.
And obviously for any fighter, they want to finish that fight in that first round because they get ready for a second fight.
Right.
Vinny's showing that he can do that back to back.
Right.
So
that'll be awesome.
And they're both 5-minute first.
Correct.
Okay.
2
but the
5-minute
first
rounds.
one will be the tiebreaker. So when they reveal the scores, let's just say it's 19-19.
Correct.
We still have to decide the winner, and the winner is according to what the judges said.
Right.
That can be a split or unanimous.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
19 is the first round winner takes it, right?
Say that again?
The first
so
round
if they go
winner takes it,
19-19, let's just say you and Ray fought. You won round 1, he won round 2. That's
Right,
10-9,
right.
10-9.
Right.
So when they say 19-19, then the compelling part of it all will be when the announcer says, but advancing is Vinny because 2 of the 3 judges gave you the first round.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's the importance of the first round. Okay.
Correct.
And so I guess a lot of it had to do with how many rounds somebody can fight in one night, right?
Right.
That was the other part.
Obviously for us, we wanted 3 rounds in every, to the quarters and semis.
Right.
Unfortunately, as all the athletic commissions around the U.S., they only allow fighters to fight no more than 5 rounds. And so, we had to break that down, and one was a 2-round fight, and the other one was a 3-round fight.
Whose idea was that? That's out-of-the-box thinking. It's interesting.
It was a team. We all talked about it collectively and came up, that's probably the best way to do it. Because like I said, originally we wanted the quarterfinals to be 3 rounds and the semifinals to be 3 rounds. But when we were given the reality that, we can only do 5 rounds, so we made it 2 rounds for the quarters and 3 rounds for the semifinals.
Okay.
So
now, sorry, guys.
Well, if you and I are fighting, and you beat me round 1, where it's clear, where I know I lost, now I got to finish.
You have to finish.
You got to finish.
Yeah, you
That's
have
what
to
makes
finish.
it interesting.
Or put it 10-8
Right.
round. Still have to beat him up really bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
10-8 round
That's
or
true.
finish him. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wait a
That's
minute.
gonna
Hold on a
make things
second.
Interesting.
So I could beat you 10-9, but you come back and beat me 10-8, but it doesn't matter because I beat you the first round.
No.
Then a point counts.
Oh,
No.
the point counts. Yeah, duh.
Yeah, point
okay.
counts.
Yeah. All right. It's my birthday, though. I get a pass for that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, that's 2 so far.
Imagine if I was the announcer. Oh, it's my birthday, though, man. Give me a pass. Sorry, man. You advance.
Yeah, that makes things really, really interesting.
All right,
It
Steve
does.
Harvey.
It does. I know. I do. Yeah. Well, I've said it all along. To get the attention of the MMA fan nowadays, you have to do something different. And this tournament structure, tournaments have been successful for many years. Not just in MMA. You came through K1.
Exactly.
You came through submission grappling.
That's where the whole idea
there's
came
something
from.
to that. But of course, we're not calling it that. We're calling it a regular season and a playoff. So along the way, there's just got to be some twists and turns because like Ray stated, you can only fight 25 minutes per night. So that's it. First round fights will be 10 minutes, 2 5-minute rounds. The first one, though, carries the weight that should the score come out even, at the end, that fighter advances. Ray, is it just an email, or has every fighter been briefed over and over so that they can't use that excuse?
That's right. They've been briefed. Their managers have been briefed. Everybody's been told. And come fight, right after the weigh-ins, Carlos and I have a fighters meeting, and they get told then as well. So, no, there's no excuses for anything. They can't say, well, we didn't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you knew.
Hey, Ray, with all these different twists that you bring to mixed martial arts, how much of your day revolves, like percentage-wise, revolves around what you're doing now and what's coming up next season?
In total, like, I'm in the gym from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 10:30, 11. Then I'm at the office till 4, and then I'm back in the gym till 6:30, 7. So that kind of gives you an idea that, everything, my whole life revolves around what I do. And that's mixed martial arts, PFL. Every day.
I can't wait for 2019. I mean, we got 2018 ahead of us, but
I'm excited for 2019.
It's been quite a splash that you made.
But I'm actually really looking forward to the playoffs because, it's exciting to see all these guys. Again, Vinny's sitting right here. A guy that came out and finished 2 fights, both in the first round, and I think the fastest in anybody that's finished fights throughout the regular season.
3 minutes. Total.
There you go. See, he was keeping count. And so it's really exciting to see that because I want to see him repeat that again in the playoffs. I mean, that's every fighter's dream is come out and finish in the first minute. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for that.
I'm not sure we had a chance to talk to you after the last PFL card, but what was pretty cool was how, and the announcers did a good job of showing us what the point value had. I remember O'Connell's fight had a twist to it, like where someone could go home or someone could be 5 or someone could be this.
Or advance.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
He was fighting Bazagit, who was stopped in his first regular season fight.
Yeah.
So Bazagit really had to come out and finish strong. And look where it puts him right in the playoffs.
So was the Esmelino Rama fight too? That one was
that was an awesome fight.
That was the one.
They fucking went for it, dude.
The whole round thing would make a difference on how people would qualify. I was like, dude, and I was like rooting, like it was fun. It was fun.
It was cool, man. Those guys fought their asses off.
Because of the point system made it's much more exciting because now you're thinking about which round can be finished. Like, because you think like, oh, if this guy wins his round, he's gonna he qualifies. If he loses round, he's out. Right. So it's different. It's not just about like, oh, let's see. I want to see a finish. I want to see this guy win. I want to see this guy losing. There's the whole excitement of like the point system of the tournament, so how he changed the whole bracket. So that was fun to watch.
Yeah, and certain guys, obviously, certain guys are sitting at home going, "Don't finish, don't finish, don't finish," and then the finish, I say, "Oh my God," you know what I mean? So
like this guy here.
Yeah.
let it go third round.
So far things have worked out then, Ray, right? Or is there anything behind the scenes where, No,
100%. The whole team. And I can't thank my whole team enough. Obviously, our fighters as well, which is still part of PFL, because everybody's just, in 100%. Everybody just wants to make this happen, make this work. And so when fighters like Vinny and Lance and and the rest of the team that come, the rest of the fighters that come out and fight the way they fight, it just makes our jobs even easier. You know what I mean? Sure, there's a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes, but it's nothing that we can't deal with, and nothing that, especially when the guys come out and put on the show like that.
What's the criteria for 2019, by the way? Is it not – it can't just be wins and losses. I would imagine the fighters that have embraced PFL, they get a star. Along the way, do you have like a checklist of what you want out of a PFL fighter?
Yeah, absolutely. I want guys that come out and fight. Listen, the ground game is part of the game, right? And I love watching guys who come out, and if they end up on the ground, they're constantly scrambling. There's constantly work. What I hate the most is when the guy just lays on top and does nothing. You know what I mean? And that's where it stalls the game, where when guys come out and they're constantly scrambling, they're constantly looking for a submission, constantly, looking to get to their feet, I mean, those are kind of fights. Like, I love watching those fights where the game can go either way, and it's consistent. So, I mean, those are the kind of guys I want in fighters. One guys that come out and put it all on the line. Whether they finish them on the ground, whether they finish them on their feet, I don't care. Just come out and try and finish somebody.
Now, I'm not sure if you'll take this as criticism or feedback, but I want to ask you, going back to the Rama fight, were the fighters slipping? Was there something with the canvas or the vine or anything like that? Or was it – because I know it was a bloody fight.
Right.
And I know they were sweaty. And as I was watching it, the reason I watch football and MMA a little different, just a little different, is because of the serious knee injury I had.
Right.
So when guys get tackled, I'm like, oh, you know, I just wince a little bit. I'll get over it. It's only been a year. But still, when I was watching that fight, it seemed like they were slipping. So was it just the blood and sweat, or was there something to the canvas, the sponsorship maybe?
I think the majority was blood and sweat, but, yeah, I mean, the canvas in itself, I don't actually really know the name of the actual fabric that's used.
Yeah.
But when, especially like that fight, when it's a bloody fight like that, we want to use something that you can kind of wipe off.
Yeah.
And so to keep that clean. But yeah, no, we've looked at it in terms of surface and what works, and so hopefully by PFL 8.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
We'll have the surface fixed. But no, you're right. I think the one prior to that was actually a lot more slippery.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember I went to RFA before they were LFA, and it was in LA, and it was an outdoor arena, and they didn't. Yeah, the StubHub. They didn't take into consideration the condensation of the ocean, and so it created that. And so I remember Andrew Simon said, "Our mistake," and they were explaining what kind of a canvas they were going to go with going forward. So
right.
It's just sometimes you don't know.
Yeah, outside is obviously a lot different because I mean, we had one outside in Daytona. And unfortunately, not only it was humid, it also was raining. Oh. You couldn't get any worse weather than wrestling. So it was pretty tough on the guys, but everybody came out and put it on the line.
Hey, right. You know he's the king of that?
What?
Oil wrestling?
Oil wrestling?
No, it wasn't oil. It was hot cream wrestling. So I wrestled girls in shaving cream.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I was a manager and everything.
I will confess, I was 17 years old, and I got in with my fake ID into a place called the Wounded Knee in Anaheim. And so I'm 49. If the cops really want to come after me 32 years later, go ahead. But 17 years old, I went in there, and I was a shill because you bid for the girl. And there was rich guys that were bidding. So, but the girl would always come and give you a quick lap dance. And so I just wanted the little free lap dance. I was a teenager, and I was like, yeah, 53, and then 55, 56, 60, But it was fun because there were the older guys and the chicks wanted the younger guys. But then eventually I would bail out. Then at the end of the night, I think I said the same thing, like 48. And the guy goes, you can have her. I'm like, oh, shit. I had like $18 on me. We had to run to the ATM. And but, yeah. That was
my
thing.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
Actually, get this. Not to take away anything from our PFL day here. When I came back, they had already bid on the other girl, and the announcer, he had a megaphone. He goes, where's that other guy, And I was just walking in. He goes, here are your trunks. So you had to go back and change. And we wrestled in shaving cream. And so it was 2 dudes and the 2 girls that you bid on and you won. And the other guy was drunk and aggressive. He's actually wrestling the girl. He's throwing her around and this and that. And my girl's just like shooting cream on me and bouncing on me and whatever. And I'm just lathering it. I mean, I'm having fun like a pig in shit. But this guy's like wrestling and trying this. He looked like Lance Palmer training, And
you just ruined that by saying pig and shit. You can't compare the two.
Well, no, I was happy like a pig and shit. And then all of a sudden, when the guy like swung her around, her leg kicked me in the nuts.
Oh!
But I was covered in shaving cream, so nobody could see the agony in my face. I had tears, man. I was like, oh, like that.
5 minutes.
And my girl's still like dropping elbows and hitting me, and I'm like, stop. And I tried to like talk, and the shaving cream went in my mouth. It was horrific. So what I thought was going to be fun, it wasn't the greatest night, man. I got kicked in the nuts hard. Then a barroom brawl broke out because the bouncers told him, hey, you need to chill out on the girl. You're being too aggressive. I paid my money, and he kept throwing her around. And finally he told him, and the big fight broke out.
Wow.
All that at age 17.
That is a good story.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's take a break. We have many fighters from the PFL that are going to be on today's show. And, of course, we have the president of PFL, Ray Sefo, here in studio with us. PFL 8 is headed your way, and that is next Friday, October 5th, and they'll be in New Orleans. We'll have a set of tickets to give away. So if you're in that area, you need to be near your social media, or maybe we'll do a call-in or something like that, but we definitely want to give away tickets before next Friday's event. That's right, you heard us. Friday, October 5th, PFL 8. And that one will feature heavyweights and featherweights. All right, stay close. We'll be right back.
charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Week 4 in fantasy football season starts tomorrow, and the place to hear advice and information from the experts 24 hours a day is Fantasy Sports Radio. Listen for news, injuries, player rankings, and game previews. Plus, hidden gems on the waiver wire your opponents don't know about. If you play fantasy football, and the place to be is Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM87, streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. All right, in studio, we are joined by the president of PFL, Ray Sefo, and one of their top light heavyweights, Vinny Magalhaes. He's actually ranked number 1. He will be fighting, though, at PFL 9, which is October 13th in Long Beach, California, versus Rakeem Cleveland. Now, when you don't know much about someone, or if you do, is the first thing you start to zero in is what's the level of grappling, or how do you even interpret like game planning? Is it all focused on just that? Who submitted them? How'd they get them? Or do you stand back and just see the overall fight?
I would say that's the overall fight. Here's the thing, like I said, I've been training for the last 6 months, so there's not like one area of my game that I feel like I'm independent the most. Of course, I've been grappling for 20 years. I've been grappling at the highest level for like many years. So if I take to the air, I'm gonna have like a huge advantage. But I'm also like working out the areas like my wrestling, I'm working my striking. So it's not much about like his style, what he does, about what I can do there. So that's what I'm training. Like I just start preparing myself for. I have Rakeem, who is a southpaw, so that's my first fight. But the second fight, there are like 2 orthodox guys that I could be fighting. So I cannot just be like limiting myself just to train for one person. You know, when the second fight is going to be a completely different opponent, I don't even know who I'm fighting in the second fight. So it's one of those things I'm going to bring my best. Doesn't matter, like, you know, who I'm going to be facing first. And those things happen too. Like, let's say Rakeem gets injured, like during camp, have like 2 weeks, 3 weeks left.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to end up fighting somebody else. You never know. So I cannot be, like, you know, focused so much, like, you know, on this or their opponent. I got to focus on bringing my best game, have that confidence where I feel like, well, if it stays standing, I can just, like, you know, fight anybody. If you like, you have to wrestle, I can take anybody down. If I have to take to the ground, I can finish anybody. So I have to have the mentality instead of just be focused on one person or another. And my confidence level when it comes to that right now, it's like it's really good. No matter who I fight, no matter who they give me, it's like I feel like I can do really well.
Ray, next year you'll have the whole year at your disposal. Will you will the format be the same where the quarterfinals is still 2 fights in one night, or is that only because this year you had less of a year? Or are you going to sit there and observe and see how it goes and see if it was an interesting twist or one that needs to, you know, be changed for next year?
I think I missed parts of the question.
So you know you know how this one is going to be 2 fights in one night for the quarterfinals? Yep. Next year you have the whole year spread out. Right. So you could technically do the quarterfinals one night and the semifinals. So are you going to observe and see?
It takes it away from the excitement.
Oh, so you're keeping it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
It won't change. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting hearing Vinny kind of break down all the different possibilities.
Right. And that's the excitement about it. I mean, that's the exciting thing about it is that you're not getting ready for when you're in that 8-man tournament. Let me rephrase that. When you're in that PFL 8-man tournament, you're getting ready for, well, actually 2 guys because the championship is, 2 months later. So you never know who's going to come through. And so, I mean, that's exciting to me. When I was competing, that was exciting to me. Now that I'm sitting on the other side, it's still exciting to me. And so I think the excitement of just, and it's not, listen, this format is not for everybody. You really got, because, and I'm speaking from experience, because I remember my first ever tournament, and that was in K1 fighting the best of the best, right? I come back, and I'm like, I think I just went 3 rounds a war, and my whole body's aching, and I got to really go deep inside here, and that mental strength where you go, you know what? Got to bite down my mouth guard. When I walk out there, I'm going to show them that I'm ready to go. And that's exactly what I did. You know what I mean? And so it really, as a person, you really got to find yourself. And that's where you really know yourself. If you can dig deeper if you can have that courage to come out and do it again. And so it's exciting because you see fighters grow as people, as adults, as a person within that one event.
Yeah, you're so right. I've seen that. I've seen Rumble on the Rock. I was in Hawaii, and Jake Shields had to fight Yushin Okami and Carlos Condit in the same night.
Wow.
None of them were even in the UFC or nothing like that at the time. And that one slipped by, that commission. They did 15 and 15, so he had to actually wrestle. Well, you know, Jake went to decision on both, but he had to go with both guys, 15 minutes each.
Wow.
And it's funny because when I see him and we talk about it, he said the same thing you did. Like, man, I learned a lot about myself.
Right.
You know, but the one thing he knew was it was fair. It's not like the other guy came in fresh.
Right.
I guess that could possibly happen in an alternate situation, but in that situation, it was fair. He came in fresh, and he goes, I guess I just dug deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
And it really does. It really does. You really find yourself when you get to those, when you know you got to come out again and do it again.
You know what I like about these type of scenarios, which you guys have at the end? Are you guys gonna have that giant check?
100%.
I was thinking about that too.
Those are cool.
Like
yeah, the best
big
part
check.
is like when people talk about how they have to go through the airport with it and shit. Remember Michael Chandler had to like sit in front of a restroom with it, people walking by. But the reason I ask, how cool would one of those checks look up there? I've always wanted to have one up there. Not that you have to give us $1 million,
right?
But when you put in your order for your checks, put in one extra one.
Yeah.
Because I want to hang one up there or up here or something. Those are just cool, aren't they?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
Pride was a big trophy, and the check, the guy's barely holding it.
Make
You
note
know
of that for sure.
Yeah. What about the idea? I know it might be too late, but the idea of the $1 million in a case, wasn't that your idea?
Yeah.
I thought that was always pretty interesting. The World Series of Poker used to do that. You'd walk by and they'd have the money there in the hundreds. You don't even know if it's just the hundreds on the outside and a bunch of ones or what. But people would walk by, take pictures with it and all that. It's captivating.
Yeah.
It's all marketing, you know what I mean?
Right,
There's something just
exactly.
about that key number.
We talked about it, and we even I mean, right now that we talked about having a truck that's gonna be.
I would actually
Or a guy with a
like
briefcase? Didn't we say something about the briefcase?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind one Mandela cash.
Yeah, that was funny. Hey, wait, are you preparing yourself for that type? That's gladiator shit Ray was talking about. You know what I mean? Like 2 fights in one night. Somebody may have to whisper in your ear, you know, when you're on the verge of breaking and somebody goes, remember what we're fighting for, you know, and you might have a moment like that.
I've never fought like an MMA fight like 2 in a night, but it's like it is a tournament, you know. Like I've been doing tournaments like my whole life, so I don't feel like there's a whole lot of difference. If you put yourself like in that competition mindset, it's the same thing. You know, of course in jiu-jitsu there's no punch, no kicks, but you know you get to do like 13 matches like over a weekend. You know, and I've been also competing jiu-jitsu against not some of the best, legitimately against the very best guys in the world. And I've been able to beat some of those guys. So for me, it's just like it's a competition mindset. You cannot be thinking of fighting. You know, I'm fighting. I'm not getting kicked in the nuts or, you know, headbutt or, you know, at risk of getting stabbed. It's just a fight. It's just a competition. Just a sport. So I feel like I have actually an advantage when it comes to that. You know, I've been like in a tournament format, even though there was like, no, it was not like same night, but there was a space of like 1 week to 2 weeks when I was in the Ultimate Fighter. And I had like much less experience than I have now. Not just in MMA, but also in jiu-jitsu. So it's like the whole thing. Like I feel like I have a huge advantage, like, you know, when it comes to like mindset for this tournament, and it makes no difference. I didn't even think of that. Like, 2 fights in a night. I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah, people like Vinny and Lance, or any fighter that's come up through that jiu-jitsu wrestling background, I have that little bit of that. It's a little bit of that advantage because they understand going back to back with somebody. You know what I mean? Or having 3 matches or 2 matches or 5 matches. So they have that experience already. So that kind of, you know, helps them mentally. So now they're in a situation where punches, kicks, knees, everything, you know, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, everything is combined. But yeah, I think it gives them a little bit of advantage of understanding what the winning one fight and then going to the next and the next and the next.
You know, he brought up the Ultimate Fighter, and as soon as he said it, I thought, what if they did that, where the first round, if you win it, because they have a lot of where they have to go to that 3rd round. What if they just did it like that?
I know. I had never thought of that. And when Ray brought it up, well, actually, I heard it from somebody else, and Ray confirmed it. But I was thinking of all the different scenarios that are out there. But one thing I like is when fighters are pressed to fight, because we get away from obviously leaving it in judges' hands. But it's just fan pleasing to the one that's in attendance and the one that's watching at home. And in the end, the fighters are they want to finish fights. It's not like they don't want to finish fights. They want to finish fights, but it gives them an incentive, like an extra gear.
That Rama fight for me was one of the highlights of PFL. That feeling of that last round and them knowing something had to happen. Like, I think that's where your idea was shining the most.
Right. Did you see the emotion with Jamie when the doctor decided to stop the fight? Which to me, I thought it was silly, but. Because listen, I understand. Because the doctor says, I'm looking out for the safety of the fighter, and I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? You know what I mean? Because I know, I got to look at it from the safety side of it, but I also got to look at it from a competitive side of it. And I thought they were both tired. None of them were hurt or anything like that. I mean, they were just exhausted, but they both wanted it. Because right away when the doctor stopped it, Jamie comes running, like, Ray, please, don't let him do this. But that's what I was saying to the doctor. I said, that's not a guy, because he was saying that he wasn't coherent and he wasn't, conscious enough when he was talking to him. I'm like, a guy reacting like that, when the fight got stopped, that's not a guy that's not coherent. I mean, that's a guy that's telling me he wants this that much. You know what I mean? So it was upsetting to see that happen, but that fight, you can tell that those two really wanted to finish or really wanted to win, and unfortunately it happened the way it happened. But
that's kind of what I meant about 2019. Like, man, that's the type of fighter you want. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, depending on what you can sort out contract wise and
right.
or whatever health wise, but at some point you guys have such a cool thing going that I think you'll be able to choose, and you'll have your criteria. And,
absolutely.
And I think those guys met it, But, of course, other stuff behind the scenes, we'll see how that works out. First things first, PFL 8 in New Orleans at the Ernst Memorial Convention Center on Friday, October 5th. 10 Eastern is your start time on NBC Sports for the main card with the featherweights and the heavyweights. They will be paring down from 8 in a quarterfinal to a semifinal on the same night, and we'll be basically left with finalists.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's it, man. We'll have our answers of who will be fighting for the $800,000 bonus, if you look at it that way, because whoever comes in second place gets $200,000. The winner gets $1 million. So however you want to look at it, man, but I think it's amazing. The following week, they're in Long Beach for PFL 9, and our guest, Vinny Magalhaes, he'll be on that fight card. It's Saturday, October 13th. Saturday again, October 13th, with a 9 p.m. Eastern start time, 6 Pacific. Not only light heavyweights, but lightweights as well. And then things finish off. The playoffs finish off in Washington, D.C., PFL 10. Saturday, October 20th, 10 p.m. Eastern start time on NBC Sports. We're here to remind you all during the week of start times and everything. And don't forget that on Facebook, you can watch 2 hours of live fights as well. So you want to go to Facebook Live on the day of their fight. They're very prominent there on their Facebook Live page.
You put in for credentials?
For Long Beach.
I'm a little torn, because here's the thing. We do a lot of work here as far as media. Don't you want to kind of have a beer in your hand that night, though? And not like a clipboard or a computer?
Well, I'll be in Long Beach, put it that way.
Yeah?
I'll be in Long Beach. So whether it's a credential or as a fan, I'll be in Long Beach.
I may have to be there with a hot dog and a beer.
Yeah. And then, of course, things round out. And this, if you love MMA and you love a good party, and I'm not talking about the one out there. If you love a good party, New York, Madison Square Garden, the Hulu Theater on Monday, December 31st. How about some fights and then ringing in the New Year in Times Square? That sounds like a great night.
Sounds like a great night to me.
So that's looking forward. First things first, the playoffs, PFL 8, 9, and 10. Guys, thanks very much for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun. Ray, congrats. You guys did a great thing for our sport.
Thank you.
For the 72 fighters that started out. You guys are changing lives. That's really cool. We're here to support and finish out this year. And then, of course, we're excited to see what 2019 has in store.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. And then, Vinny, again, congrats, man. You've taken the bull by the horns. You're the #1 guy. You've finished. You've put a fear in a lot of people. When we were breaking things down and on fight night, a lot of people were like, yeah, you want to avoid being number 8 because you got to face Vinny, you know. So you made you put a stamp on the season, and you had a great showing for yourself. So that's awesome, bro. And again, seeing you, you know, at Extreme and just seeing where you're at and how you've taken your game to a new level, that's impressive.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, man. Like, it's just like, you know, makes me feel like a lot more confident to walk into any fight, you know. And I can literally just go there, like, you know, want to get it like in the locker room, and I'm not gonna question myself in anything. If it's gonna be conditioning, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, strike, I'm gonna be there like 100% confident that everything's gonna work all my way. And yeah, man, it's been different, you know. And as a matter of fact, the whole like number 1, number 8 thing, like at this point now, doesn't matter. Now we have the 8 best guys, so I still want to keep that advantage of, you know, have the best performance, but I'm gonna respect every single opponent that I have, like from now on.
I thought about that, the seeding, and just because you come in at number 8 doesn't really mean that you're that level. What if next year whoever came in at number 1 gets to pick who they fight?
I thought about
and
that.
You
I
kind
thought
of put
about
it out
that.
there, the drama, and then that fighter comes in and says, "Give me that."
Yo, that's you just read. See, there's a few things happening.
Pipe down, Ghost.
All
right, guys. We got to go commercial, and thank you both for stopping by. Next up will be Lance the Party Palmer. He will be our next guest. He's featured at PFL 8 on Friday, October 5th, so we'll talk about that when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on the new Fight Nation Fight Nation Channel 93 on Sirius XM.
Bounce with it, girl. Dance with it, girl.
They're so fat they gave Dracula diabetes. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Football season is here, and Barstool Radio is bringing the tailgate atmosphere to you every day with their unique and outlandish takes on the sports and pop culture stories that are trending this week. It's radio that is by the common man, for the common man, on Barstool Radio, on Power 85, and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Want to welcome to the show former NC2A All-American and current PFL featherweight Lance Palmer. He'll be participating, of course, in these playoffs that are coming up. Now, he's in that first batch, which is PFL 8, next Friday, October 5th, in New Orleans. It's featherweights and heavyweights, 10 p.m. Eastern start time on NBC Sports. Facebook also has additional coverage. Welcome, Lance. How you doing, brother?
Doing well.
All right, you ready? You ready to rock and roll?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me brief you here in case your manager or someone let you down. You're fighting twice in one night. You got that?
Yep.
And that first round of the first fight carries extra weight. You know that one, too?
Yep.
All right, cool, man.
I told you they've been briefed.
They have been briefed, yeah. And when you heard all that, did it matter? Or was there like, oh, okay, hold on a second. Let's think about our approach to the fight at all? Or was it like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to – you go out there to win every round, I imagine.
Yeah, for the whole season, my goal has been to go out and get finishes. And whether it's in the first round, second round, or third round, I'm still trying to get the finish. So it doesn't really matter to me. And the point system for the regular season, I didn't really play too much into that either, even though you want to get an early finish to get a high seed. You still have to fight twice in one night for the playoffs. Everyone still has to do that, so there's no difference. It just puts you in a different place in the bracket, and you got to beat everybody to be the champ anyway. So for me, it was just to go out and get finishes and stay dominant and prove that, you know, even if I am the 2 seed, that I'm the most dominant in the division.
If you clearly win round 1, in round 2, the other guy's going to come at you. But if you think about it, they're going to come at you, of course, with a type of fury where they know they need to finish you. But that's kind of what you want, right? Because isn't that when someone's a little bit more reckless, they make that mistake, and as long as your game's tight, you capitalize?
Yeah, definitely. I think going into a second round when you've already clearly won the first, or they think they may have lost the first, they're going to try and go out and finish because that's really the only way they can win. Maybe even with the 10-8, it would probably just be a tie anyway. So you'd have to go out and try and get the finish. And if the first round holds more weight than the second, there may be some people that play into that.
I just asked the same question. If you win 10-9 but the other guy wins 10-8, it does go to the points. So make sure if you were in that pickle and you won 10-9, if you gave up a 10-9, you still advance if you won the first. But they do go to simple math otherwise.
Yeah, in other words, just to be clear, the only reason why it goes to the first round is because it's a draw.
Right.
That's the only reason why.
Easiest way to phrase it is that way. All right. Lance Palmer will be fighting at PFL 8 in New Orleans, and I want to be specific about this again. It's Friday, October 5th, so we're literally about 9 days away. 10 p.m. Eastern start time, 9 Central on NBC Sports. I mentioned Facebook, and Facebook has 2 hours of live coverage because they still have 12-fight cards. Remember, it's quarterfinal matchups and alternate matchups, so a lot of that can be found on Facebook. You just go to Facebook Live on Fight Night, and PFL is very prominent on there. Sometimes they even have fighters that come in and do a little bit of chatting. I saw Lance on one of those. They flew him out there, and he did that. So definitely check out their Facebook page and follow along there. This is just the top of the hour here. We'll be gone for about 1 minute, and we'll be right back. We're joined by Lance Palmer here in studio, PFL featherweight, and Ray Sefo, former 6-time kickboxing champion and the president of PFL.
A fortune won and lost on a
All right, Mr. President Ray Sefo, I got a question for you in regards to music as we're coming back here to start the second hour. I know that in the UFC, Dana White sometimes has tweaked somebody's walkout song. How hands-on are you? If Lance, for example, just says, this is my song, is that his song? Or does everything run through you, Carlos, or a certain team? Or how much do you guys affect that?
Yeah, no, definitely for us. I mean, we gotta look at the song. I mean, we don't want, especially when it's on TV, and obviously also on Facebook. But we don't want someone walking out with F-bombs and, you know, the B word or this and that.
Right.
So yeah, it's important that you know, we keep it clean.
But otherwise, if it's clean, it can be theirs.
Right. 100%. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Who helped you choose your walkout song or songs of your career? All you, or do you?
Well, for this whole season of PFL, there was a song that came out called "Welcome to the Party," and everybody was like, all my friends, family, they're like, if you don't come out to this song, you're an idiot, because it basically says as you're walking out, it's basically that like hook line. So I was like, all right, I'll come out to it. It has a decent beat, good artist, so I was like, I'll stick with that one for the duration of this season.
Your pop's coming out?
Yep. Oh yeah. Damn. He'll be there.
In New Orleans too.
Oh, I know.
His dad's a handful, man. Your dad's got that legendary aura about him, just like you know, he walks into the room and you know, like, oh, okay, that's his dad or whatever. And I can only imagine in New Orleans. I mean, you guys are gonna have a good time out there.
Well,
he's gonna be yelling. He yells his ass off for you.
He gets so
I heard
nervous.
about the Cosmo, right? Was it the Cosmo?
It was the Cosmo,
yeah, a few years ago. He gets so nervous when I fight. He was like that when I wrestled too, and he just like. And there was one time where Ray had to be like, "Hey man, we're on TV. You can't swear on TV." and then when they brought him in the cage and Boz was going to interview him, I was like, "Oh my God, you cannot do this." You just had to yell at him during the fight for swearing, but he kept it together during the interview, which was good. And I was like, "Oh man," because they specifically say that, you know, no swearing by the cornerman, the fighter, anybody around the cage during the TV show.
Right.
So I knew that I think that I was main event, so I was the last fight on the card, and it was like the middle of the first or second round, and he was yelling elbow, and I'm like, you can't throw elbows. I'm like yelling at him during the fight because he doesn't know what's going on. I'm like, what the heck is he doing? So, and then Ray had to tell him too. He's like, there's no elbows in this, like, and because I was like, yeah, if I could elbow him, I would have finished the fight in the first round because I had half guard, and I was landing punches and doing what I could do with that without being able to throw elbows, and he kept yelling, and it was just like wrestling. It was like a flashback to me wrestling in college. He would sit like in the front row, and he'd have half the row cleared out left and right, doing this the whole time. Nobody would want to sit next to him because he'd just beat him up during my match, and he would always be yelling during the match, like just obviously because he wants me to do well, and he's just trying to help, but. It's so funny that I love how he gets fired up. And one of my brothers will be there too, and he gets fired up also. He traveled all over the country with me growing up, and we did this thing together. So it'll be cool to have them there and the rest of my family and support system.
Nice.
Were you going to leave that music question just at that, or did you have something? Because I
was curious about if Ray, because he fought, and so he knows how much a song can mean to someone. Mean to somebody, or a nickname, or just whatever. And I've heard that sometimes where I'll ask a fighter, hey, how come your song was different? They'll say, oh, they overruled it for...
Let me help you out. Because I think this is where you're going. Danny, do you have that song? Because I'm pretty sure this is a song that George would pick for you to walk out to. No?
That's sick. If I could fight in a Speedo, then I'd come out to this song. But that's not part of the PFL uniform this year, so maybe next year.
Do you know which one that is, Ray? That's what they call him, Party Boy, right? Party Boy from the movie Jackass. Did you ever see the Jackass movies?
Yep.
Remember the guy that'd be like in a Speedo and just dance?
Chris Pontius.
Yeah. That would be pretty
That was
funny.
the best. He had tearaway pants on, and he would just
Can he wear tear-up uniform and just...
Yeah, as long as he's got PFL shorts on, he's good.
I don't know.
PFL Speedo.
You want to hear?
We'll work on that for next year.
You want to hear my fabulous four in terms of the intensity of the relative?
Sure.
All right. I'm not going to rank them 1 through 4. I'm just going to tell you who they are. One of them's his dad. I saw him at the Cosmo once. And he takes over the whole section. You're right. It's like elbow. It's like you know what your dad would be great at? he'd be a great soccer hooligan. Like just taking over the stands and chanting and yelling, you know what I mean? And he's got your back. His pops, for sure. The other ones of my Fabulous Four are Eddie Alvarez's wife. You can always hear her going, Eddie, Eddie. And she's just yelling and yelling. Have you ever seen Tyron Woodley's mom?
Yeah.
She's right there. They can't contain her, and she's in the front row. She's going nuts, too. I had one other one. Eddie's, Tyron's. What the fuck was it? Oh, and okay, and this one's not a relative or anything, but you ever seen Chuck Liddell at the fights?
Oh, yeah.
Chuck Liddell's watching like this, and he's like leaning. And
like he's going to fall over.
Yeah, it's weird. He just kind of like started.
He's on a boat that
he wishes he was in there. But those people to observe in the background are fine. Ray, what about NBC Sports? What's your guys' relationship with them? And how much have their execs embraced your season 1 of PFL? And the reason I ask is I go back to 2005, Spike in the UFC. They weren't so sure of who was going to do what. The UFC paid their own way. You know, they paid for their own season or whatever. And then they talk about, you know, the fight that Forrest had with Bonner and how the executives were like, it finally turned on.
Right.
How about for you guys? Whether they're your long-term partner or I know they're your partner this season, have you had those types of moments with them where, wow, okay, we get it, we see exactly now, and we're just going to continue to back you or you know, promote everything you have going on?
I mean, they've been a great partner, but they're also excited about this, you know, the format, the PFL format, because again, it's different, and they're realizing that, you know, how everybody, especially the fighters, the urgency of coming out there and finishing fights. And, you know, again, I can't thank all the fighters enough for being part of PFL, but also wanting to do what they do and coming out there and constantly look for that finish, and which makes it even for great television. And so, yeah, I think they're seeing that and the change from WSOF to PFL. But no, the relationship is a good one, and I think there's some good things happening for 2019 moving forward.
Have you guys had to separate the two histories of PFL and WSOF, or will you consider it one? Because like the other day, AJ McKee from Bellator, he just had his 12th win, and it was interesting how Bellator is now starting to accumulate their records. He's got the most records for wins. I think he just beat Chandler, or right? Chandler had 11 with one of the Pitbull brothers. So I'm wondering, when you start to log your history, is it a combination of the two, or will you separate the two?
I think at some point it will be separated, but you know, that's how it this all started. You know what I mean? And so can't really separate too much. That being said, the PFL format is completely different to what WSOF was. You know what I mean? And so there's this, you know, as they say, don't forget where you come from or your beginnings, if you will. You know what I mean? And so that WSOF was the beginnings of PFL, and now we're, you know, evolved and moved to something else, and which is better.
Lance, with social media so strong right now, the other guys you're competing in, how often do you peek in and just go, I wonder what these guys are doing? You ever do any of that?
Not really.
Doing it for you? Honestly,
I'm focused on myself getting better and improving, and obviously I've watched the potential people that I'm fighting in the semis and Max Koga in the quarters, because we've had 2 chances to see them all fight except for Becerra, and he's someone who's fought Harrison before, somebody who's hungry to fight Harrison on that other side of my half of the bracket, and so that fight's going to be exciting as well. But I mean, I fought Harrison once, and I've seen Harrison fight a bunch of times. And Koga, I watched fight Timur, and then I watched him fight Galvao. So I know what he's doing, and I know what he's going to try and prepare for, and that's to not get taken down and submitted. Is
it difficult not to overthink things?
Sometimes it is, because you wanna go out and do your best, but sometimes your head can get in the way of that. Instead of just letting everything out and letting everything fly when you're in the cage, you think too much leading up to it, and you try and make everything too perfect. And MMA is not perfect. Anything can happen in there. So the more you're able to just go off the fly and just let everything loose when you're in there, the better off you're going to be. And I feel like I've done a good job of that this season so far.
Have you thought about what you would do in between fights? Some fighters say if they lay down or sit down and relax too much, it starts to go downhill. How are you going to treat that time period?
I've been training the exact way that we're going to fight, and sometimes I've taken less of a break in between the 2 and 3 rounds. Sometimes I've taken about an hour, depending on how long the 7 fights are in between my 2 fights. It just depends on, you know, whether there's finishes or what happens in those fights. But I've done everything I can to prepare myself for that adrenaline flush after the first fight, and that little break in between, and that cool down, and getting warmed up again before the second fight. I've done everything this camp to prepare for that. Yesterday was my last sparring day, and I'm as prepared as I can be for that break. That break is harder than doing a 5-round fight because you have 2 rounds and then you have that little break. It's not necessarily the 2 different people that you may be fighting. It's the break in between and getting warmed up correctly for the next one and having that energy level for the 3-round fight.
Yeah. Damn,
so it's like the funnest nightmare ever, right?
I know, and I was just thinking, as much fun as we're going to have watching it on TV, is it going to be fun, Ray? Yeah, I just thought of it.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing, but hold on a second. You have to make the call a lot. I mean, I know you have a producer and a director for the television part, but you're going to have to make a lot of calls on if there's a lot of quick finishes, if an alternate may have to come into play, or any type of rules interpretation. Is it some stress, more fun, less stress, less fun? Like, how is your night?
For me, once the show starts, 99.9% of the time it's flow. It'll just flow.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's leading up to that day. For example, before the weigh-ins or at the weigh-ins, where I see a lot of things change like this. You know what I mean? And so, and I'm going to say this here, but also to all the fighters that's fighting that night, the heavyweights and the featherweights, they have to turn up and make weight. They have to make weight. If they don't make weight, they're out. It's really that simple. And so then what happens is the alternate then suddenly becomes one of the playoff guys. So again, we were talking about earlier where Vinny was saying, you really don't know who you're facing. Because if that, again, that's another scenario where if one of the guys, the top 8 guys, doesn't make weight, he's out. The alternate steps in. Now suddenly one of the top 8 guys is going to fight a completely different opponent.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it even exciting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember in Chicago you guys had something happen in between the rounds 2 and 3. And the interpretation was important in terms of that one point. And then in New York, it was a different interpretation.
Correct.
With I think it was the Rama. No, which one that we were talking about earlier?
I think it was the same night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the same. No. One was in New York, and it ended.
One was in Chicago. So the Brandon Hawsey stopped Rama in the fight was stopped at the end of the 2nd round.
Right.
And in Chicago, the ruling is because the round finished, it goes into it's ruled as a 3rd round finish 1 second. My question was to the commission at that point was how does it become a 3rd round finish 1 second when the 3rd round bell didn't ring? But that's how the rules are written.
That's how it was written, yeah.
Right? So unfortunately for Hawsey, when that same incident happened in Atlantic, in New York, Long Island, well, it happened the exact same way. So it's the 2nd round finish.
Yeah.
And so the points changed.
It changed, yeah.
You know, and unfortunately that pushed Brandon Hawsey to the alternate spot. But that's what makes it exciting. So when you say, how you gonna, man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because I know all the fighters are ready for it, and PFL 8 is going to be exciting, as well as 9, as well as 10, and then the championship is going to be even more amazing.
Right. It's really fun to watch you train on Mondays, I just got to say. You and Benavidez go hard.
Oh, yeah.
You and Kevin Lee. You know,
Kevin Lee's a fun round.
I'll just leave it at that because obviously training room is kind of sacred, and you guys allow me to come in and I always try and just watch, observe, see you guys, but leave it there, you know. But I think this is something positive. I love watching. I saw Vinny and Corey have a great round not too long ago. I was just telling him as well. Uriah, you know, he's always doing the spinning stuff. And even Ray, he has so much fun, you know, going out there and still striking. And you can just see sometimes he's just playing because of his skill level, you know. But again, goes Monday. I used to think Tuesday, small gloves, and I go, no, Thursday they're hitting it a little harder. So Thursdays was my day, and then I came in on Mondays. Mondays is really cool at Extreme,
I don't think I've ever done
because the focus is a lot on wrestling on Mondays, and you're just seeing a lot of work against the cage. One of your fighters, Yana Kunitskaya, she don't play.
No,
I keep thinking like, are the guys letting her get that takedown, or, but I'm talking to enough fighters where they're going, fuck no, she's strong. She's like. Really great fighter.
Like she's one of the hardest workers in the gym. She's unbelievable, and it's always good to see. I mean, all the guys train hard, but my biggest thing with her is trying to slow her down a little bit, because you know sometimes athletes they just go, and sometimes they get hurt or they get sick, and then it starts to go this way. And so my biggest thing with Yana is it's just trying to slow her down a little bit because she just works and works. Like we'll do hard 5 rounds, and then she get on the treadmill and run for another hour. You know, every night. It's crazy, but I love it when I see that hunger in a fighter. You know what I mean? And like I tell all the guys, people like Lance and Vinny and Alexander. Well, actually, Alexander's a little bit. Nah, just kidding. He forgot to bring. Anyway, but the guys that train hard, I tell them all the time, it's not about harder, it's about smarter. Because when you're constantly pushing those limits, then you got to be smart how you push those limits. Because you can only end up getting hurt or get sick or run down, and then again you got to, you know, your water intake and everything else that you got to do to constantly do this day in day out. So yeah, Yana's amazing. She's got a fight coming up on the Conor McGregor and Khabib card, which is, you know, day after our show. Yeah. But yeah, my biggest thing with her is just slowing her down a little bit.
Yeah, so you're rushing back to you go from president to cornerman.
Right.
I think Eric Nixick's doing the same thing.
Correct. Yeah,
he's
Eric
cornering you, and then he has to come back for Gray. Or
we have Gray and Yana from our camp.
Busy weekend for you guys.
Yep.
All right. Hey, man, thanks for stopping by. I'm glad to hear at least the haze in the barn. It sounds like your last workout already happened, so now it's just making weight, staying healthy, get down to the Big Easy, have fun. 2 fights in one night, man.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
The money's in the bank. Haze in the barn. It's the
Is it a saying?
I've never heard that.
I've never heard that.
It's out of the field, in the barn, the work's
done. So the
done.
work
like all the hard work is done.
Right.
Bitch, you're from California. How do you know that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just
haze
saying.
in the barn.
But I talked to a lot of dudes from the Midwest.
I like that.
You like that one, Ray? There you go.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
The haze in the bar. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So safe weight cut, safe travels. Have fun and take some videos with you and your pops afterwards.
Oh, I will for sure.
Right on.
I'll have videos of him missing the train or whatever else. When we were in Long Island, we took a train up to Manhattan because one of our buddies, Eric's buddy, actually is a chef at a restaurant. So we went up to his place to eat. And then on the way back, my dad, like, he's a big jokester. So he's on the train, like, joking with all these people as we're getting off. Yeah. And I'm like, this door's not going to stay open. You're going to get stuck in here. Let's go. And he's still talking. We're looking through the window, and the thing closes and takes off. We were like, oh, there he goes. And he texted me. He was so pissed. He's like, the damn door closed. I'm like, yeah.
We were telling you.
Yeah, there's a time limit on the door, and it closes whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
it was funny, though. He showed up to the hotel like 20 minutes later in a taxi.
Right on. All right.
Now I'm going to have my phone ready. I'm going to find out where he sits. Every time, as soon as Lance comes down, I'll be like this, filming him.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to. It's pure entertainment just watching him.
He is. All right, Lance. Thanks for stopping by, my man.
Thank you, guys.
All right. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk to Alexander Almeida. He is featured on the same card as Lance, PFL 8, happening next Friday, October 13th in New Orleans. He will be facing Timur Valiev. Again, 2 fights in one night, so quarterfinals and semifinals. We'll see where he's at, and this is our first time having him, so it'll be fun. Stay close. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM, Fight Nation Channel 93.
Are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
For the best insight on your favorite college football team, tune in to SiriusXM College Football Conference channels. Our team of analysts, including Aaron Taylor, Ryan Leaf, and Marcus Spears, are talking to you about your school on SiriusXM ACC Radio Channel 371, SiriusXM Radio, SiriusXM Pac-12 Radio Channel 373, SiriusXM SEC Radio Channel 374, and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Joining us now on the show, yet another PFL standout. He will be fighting in the featherweight division. Although if I were to ask him to stand up next to me, you'd go, is he a light heavyweight? Alexander Almeida's like, what are you, 6'1"? How tall are you?
5'11".
5'11". Oh, okay. Well, maybe you're wearing some some springs on your shoes or something. But this is a tall dude, right? He's a tall dude for featherweight.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, these featherweights are big guys.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Lance took his shirt off at the gym yesterday, and his lats are like this. Like, how do these guys make this way?
I know, yeah. All right, well, welcome to the show, Alexander.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, boss.
How you doing, my man?
I'm pretty good.
Now, Lance just finished his hardest workouts. He's ready. Are you still have any more workouts, or are you done with your training camp?
No, I still have it.
Still have it?
Still have training in the afternoon.
Yeah.
After here, I'm going to the running a little bit.
Okay.
I have to cut it hard.
Really?
Yes.
It's a big cut?
Big cut.
Like how many pounds do you usually cut?
25.
25. Okay, wow. Well, Ray stated earlier, you have to make weight or that's it. It's over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's really important. So I imagine this is as serious as it gets. I mean, this is an incredible opportunity. You're in the quarterfinal and semifinal in the same night. So you get past this night, you're in the finals, Alexander, fighting for $1 million with no less than 200,000. I'm sure you're excited about it. Just me talking about it.
That's my goal now. My focus on my cut weight. I know that's hard for me, a lot of pounds. But I mean, good, everything okay. I wake up this morning 155. That's easy for me. It's good. My weight cut is good. The fight is easy.
Okay.
It's hard to train every day, hard.
Right.
Cut weight hard. That's it.
Are you your own nutritionist? Do you cook your own meals, or do you have somebody that does it for you, or?
I cook my own.
You do your own? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Oh. So.
My wife do.
Okay.
Okay. So the fight itself, there can be a lot of different scenarios. How often do you look at the other two competitors? Because you don't know if you win your first fight, what's going to happen.
My focus in the first fight. I don't care about the second fight. I know everybody. I know everybody. Everybody knows me. John, my mental is good. I can beat anyone in my division. I don't care who's the next. My focus now on my next fight.
Timur Valiev.
Timur Valiev.
How is it when you see these guys? Because you're all fighting for $1 million. Just now, just seeing Lance, like, what is that like?
No.
Normal?
For me, normal. Nothing happened. I don't think about, I have to get this million. No. I wanna win this fight. The million is after. I don't care about the million now.
I was watching him. He kind of did one of these.
Checking each other out.
Yeah, look at each other. I think that would be me.
That'd be me too, man. Yeah. That'd be me too. But the fighters are programmed differently. They don't care. It's like, oh, I'll fight him. I'll fight him. I'll fight him.
I won't
fight him.
I don't want to fight with him.
That's too much. Yeah. All right. So, Ray, let me ask you a question here. Now, this one, tell me, you've been around so many fighters, all right? Featherweights, light heavyweight. I want to go in a different direction. What are the Brazilian fighters? What is unique about them?
I mean, they understand the game. They understand whether, especially because, that's kind of like where MMA are started.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so these guys have that kind of history behind them. Even if they're a young fighter, they know that they got to represent, right? So they come out and their mentality of no, listen, it's not the same for everybody, but at our camp, everybody comes out and for training, they turn up, they do their thing, and they go home. They live, eat, sleep MMA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I mean, how many times have we seen so many great Brazilian fighters?
There's tons of them,
I mean, over and over and over. I mean, he's a former world champion himself.
A lot of history.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of history from there. But they're just amazing. They're a breed of amazing fighters. So and you can learn so much from them too, just by what they do, and by just asking questions. And we're talking about how guys look up to Vinny, in the gym and whatnot, and so they bring a whole different kind of not atmosphere. What's the word am I looking for? But they know that it's not just about themselves. It's not just about MMA. Is that they have a history,
like their energy.
They know that history comes with them as well. It doesn't matter where they fight all over the world. You know what I mean?
Who are some of your idols or heroes as you came up from that first generation of Brazilian fighters?
Vitor Belfort.
For
mine, Vitor Belfort and the Royce Gracie. They both. That's my my inspiration is the Vitor Belfort and the Royce Gracie.
Yeah.
I love both.
Those are two incredible fighters.
Incredible fighters. Sure. When I was young, I saw Vitor Belfort and Vanderlei Silva. That's I want to do.
Right.
He's right. Both Vitor and Vanderlei, whenever they come here, we interview a lot of fighters, but there's something about those two. A couple, Randy Couture, I still get kind of weird.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's them.
It's funny because if we talk about the World Cup soccer, the first thing everybody says is, well, Germany and France and Brazil and Argentina. If we talk about running, United States, Jamaica, certain countries, when you talk about MMA, United States, Brazil, Russia, they have these large contingent of fighters. A lot of history in Brazil. But what's different is Brazil, a lot of people associate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but of course they also have the shoot box history, the Muay Thai history, Brazil's a big country. When I'm in Rio de Janeiro, I don't see anybody that looks like a cowboy.
Yeah,
right?
No.
But Alex Oliveira's from the south of Brazil. That's all gauchos, right? Is how you say it?
I'm from the jungle.
And then there's the
North Brazil.
The jungle. Yeah, exactly. So it's very diverse just within the country itself.
Diverse. So in my city, nobody cared about Muay Thai boxing, only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Everybody from Amazon, I love Jiu-Jitsu. It's the first sport in the city.
Even more than soccer?
Even more than soccer. We don't have soccer teams.
Okay.
Really good soccer teams. We have a good fighters. That's it.
And for you, it was martial arts. What else? Growing up, rugby. What were the major sports?
Yeah, no, definitely it was martial arts and rugby.
Yeah. It's funny how countries have identities, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Thailand, it's Muay Thai.
Yes.
Yeah. Now the States is a little bit different because you have baseball, you have the basketball, you have football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like wrestling's almost like another tier below the major sports.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Canada, hockey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In Brazil, soccer or fighter.
Right.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, true.
What made you move to the United States? To,
The more opportunity for me here. The training is good. More, how do I say correctly? More opportunity than my city. It's so far away for everything. That's hard to get something for you from there.
Right.
When you come here, you have good coach, good training, good meals, good everything. You're safe here. My city is dangerous. There's nobody respect you. They don't care. Yes.
Manaus?
Yes.
That's dangerous?
It's dangerous too. Now all Brazil is dangerous. Really dangerous. In my city especially now is really dangerous there. So because there I moved to here because I have daughter, wifey. I want to bring to my mom to here. It's more safe than Brazil. It's really safe than Brazil.
Who was tell me about the first time when you heard PFL was going to have regular season and playoffs. You understand what I mean, right?
Yes, I understand.
We're not calling it a tournament, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But when you finally heard $1 million, were you like, what? $1 million? Like, what? Are you joking? Like, tell me your reaction when you heard that. That at the end of the year, when it's all over, if they raise your hand, you get $1 million. You get a big check, bigger than this, $1 million.
What was your reaction? Feeling when he put the belt on my hips. That's it.
That's it, man. That's cool to hear. That's actually pretty cool to hear.
I wanted the belt.
Yeah.
I want to be the world champion again.
Yeah,
now, as a president, that's pretty cool to hear, too.
No, absolutely.
He's thinking about gold instead of the money.
Right. But the thing is, with the gold comes the money,
yeah.
right? So
I give to my family.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't care about the money.
And the thing is, money. I mean, again, I've made, I've talked to some of my team about this. Is that the bout is to some fighters or to a lot of fighters, and again, the money is awesome. I mean, obviously, the money, that's what we fight for, right? The money is great because that's how you live. But money will come and go, but that gold around your waist would always be there. You know what I mean?
Good way of looking at it.
Would always be there. And nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I want to hit new. That's the awesome new hit.
Right. Yeah.
And the new world champion. That's I want to hit.
Yeah. It starts next Friday for you, Timur Valiev, and then after there, you know what, Ray? I know we're throwing a lot of suggestions, and you guys got it covered. But boy, if you guys can have something in the dressing room, I want to see the reactions of the other fighters because there's going to be moving parts.
It's
you know what I
like
mean?
A movie, isn't it?
Yeah, because if you're thinking, well, if this guy's a striker, this guy's a grappler, and you're in the back, you won your fight. I want to see their reaction to who they're going to face. Because right away they're going to say, all right, get on the ground. This guy, I don't know if there's even time to learn one thing, or add one little wrinkle. So anything, because it's a little bit of reality TV. I don't want to call it that because this is sports. This is a sport.
Right.
But at the same time, there's a little bit of drama, and that's what's exciting about this particular quarterfinal and semifinal one night.
Well, you pretty much kind of summed it up. It's reality TV. It's a tournament. It's the fight game. It's there's so much elements to this whole night. You know what I mean? What's going through the fighter's mind, who he wants to come through, what happens if the other guy comes through. There's so many factors, which again, it makes it exciting.
Yeah.
It makes it PFL.
I thought you were going to give me another answer, but I really respect your answer because I do love coming in here on a Monday and talking about what happened over the weekend or the week. And I love talking about the competitors that chase history and legacy, or whatever, things like that. Maybe because I'm almost 50 years old and I'm close to retirement. I'm thinking about a little bit of money sometimes, but hey, you're on a different wavelength, so I respect that, and I wish you the best of luck, man.
Thank you very much.
And I've seen you a lot in the gym. I'm sorry we haven't been able to get you here, but I've wanted to. We've wanted to get you in here and talk to you a little bit more. You've been there for a while now at Extreme Couture.
Yeah.
And we always say how Ray's always there, Eric's always there, Alexander's always there. I'm telling you, some of the other guys, maybe 4 out of 5 weeks or whatever, but a lot of these guys are there all the damn time. So
I'm there 6 days a week.
6 days a week. We have to do that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for stopping by. You want to say anything to your family or your fans, or?
I want to say October 5th, I'm going to be in the final. Watch me on the Facebook Watch and the NBC Sports. I'm ready for you there, guys. October 5th. Don't forget about that.
That's right. It's 10 Eastern next Friday, 10 Eastern, October 5th in New Orleans, NBC Sports. And you have pre- and post-fight on their Facebook page. Just go to Facebook Live on the day of their event. PFL is very prominent on the Facebook page. All right. Thank you very much, Alexander. We're going to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back. We got some phoners to do.
break, they were all tested for performance-enhancing drugs. George and Goes came back clean, but Dad tested positive for Viagra. Like a lot of it. Here are the boys.
Football season is here, and Barstool Radio is bringing the tailgate atmosphere to you every day with their unique and outlandish takes on the sports and pop culture stories that are trending this week. It's radio that's by the common man for the common man on Barstool Radio, on Power 85 and streaming on your phone, or at home on Sirius connected devices and speakers. All right, Alexander Almeida has left the studio. Coincidentally, although he'll be facing Timur Valiev, he did mix it up with our next guest, one of the more recent PFLs. It's Steven Siler, who will be facing Nazareno Maligari at PFL 8 next Friday, October 5th in New Orleans. Steven Siler joins us on the hotline. What's up, Steven? How you doing, brother?
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, my man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. And we also have the president of PFL, Ray Sefo, here with us as well. Man, it's been fun. We've been talking PFL straight for almost 2 hours, just hearing the different unique takes from Vinny Magalhaes to Lance Palmer to Alexander Almeida. I think the route I want to go with you is similar to Vinny, man. You know what? You seized the opportunity. PFL came to you and said, hey, we got a playoff, or we got a regular season and some playoffs, and at the end of the year, somebody's walking away with a belt and $1 million. And Steven, man, you've really put everyone on notice that you really want to be that guy. 2 first-round finishes in the regular season, and now you're the #1 guy in the featherweight division going into these quarterfinals.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this whole thing just worked out perfect for me because my fight style, I go out to finish fights anyway, so I don't like going 2-3 rounds. I get tired quickly, so I just like to finish fights and, happen to get more points than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your first season in PFL, and you don't have to sugarcoat it. Ray's a big boy or whatever, but did it exceed your expectations? PFL, I mean, they started off with a media day in Florida. Everyone went out, was treated like professionals. They got everything done there. And then, of course, every single time, on Thursday nights, on select Thursday nights throughout the summer, we've been seeing some great fights. There's been a lot of drama. The last few nights in every weight class had, meaningful stories where someone went home, where someone got slotted in. So you taking a step back and just seeing PFL with their first regular season tournament, how's it been for you?
I've literally said in every interview I've done how happy I've been with PFL. I've never been treated, better as a fighter, throughout my whole entire career. Like from the upper guys, Ray, Carlos, and all those guys, they're always so personal. Like, I don't know, they act like they care about you. And I really do appreciate everything they have, like they've done for me. They gave my family this great life I've been living this whole year. And I don't think in my entire almost 14-year MMA career I've been happier fighting for an organization.
And if I recall, you and your wife, you guys talked about this. She's the one that's putting, some food on the table and allowed you to go out and just be the best fighter that you could be. How's that been with you guys? I'm sure you check in after every fight, and she probably tells you the same thing. Just keep doing your thing. But that was a big risk. But I commend you, your wife and your family for supporting you. And like I said earlier, you haven't let them down.
No, I've had, luckily, a good support system where my wife stepped up and, she's being superwoman. She's taking care of the family. We had 2 kids that they're a handful. They're not easy to take care of. I've done it by myself as well, and she's doing it every day. On top of that, working 2 jobs, trying to, make sure, she's taking care of her real estate, also a day job that we're working, that she works, and we actually do the same thing. So she's working 2 jobs, taking care of 2 kids, putting food on the table, make sure they're taken care of, and honestly, I think she's doing a better job without me being there than me being there because I'm so immature. I just get them riled up, and she actually gets them on a schedule and probably gets them taking more care, make sure they're eating properly and everything like that. Where, my son wants ice cream for breakfast, he's going to get ice cream for breakfast, and she stepped up to the plate, and she's taking care of the family so I can come out here and live my dream.
That's great. Steven Siler, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He faces Nazareno Maligari next Friday at PFL 8 on NBC Sports Network, 10 p.m. Eastern Start Time. Steven, what's the approach to a fight camp where you might have to fight twice, or you will have to fight twice in one night if you're to continue, and you may not even you won't even know who you're fighting until the result of another quarterfinal comes through. How's that approach been like versus other fights when it's just one fight?
No different. I'm still approaching it like any other fight. I mean, this is my dream come true. I get to fight twice and only have to make weight once. This is amazing for me. I get
so true.
I got to go through the weight cut 2 different times. I just do it one time, and I get to fight 2 different people. I got in the sport to fight. That's the fun part. The weight cut's the crappy part.
It's 2 different paychecks too, right, Ray? 2 different shows, or how's that even work? Not to put you on the spot, but
for the quarterfinals, semifinals? Yeah. So in the quarterfinals, if he loses in the quarterfinals, or whoever the loser is in the quarterfinals, will go home with $50,000.
Oh shit!
If you win and you advance to the semifinals, and if you lose in the semifinals, you go home with $100,000.
Okay. All right. So you guys are still treating it like it's not one night of work; it's 2 different fights. That's cool, man. These guys, they never stop exceeding expectations. That's great to hear. All right, Goes, what do you have for Steven Siler?
Steven, we've had you on the program quite a few times, and this is probably the happiest I've ever heard you sound. Maybe it's all that ice cream for breakfast, I don't know. But the one thing we were talking about was momentum. And I can't remember if we talked about this before the show or during the show, but you have it right now. Do you feel any different? Is there any extra little swag in your step with that momentum? Because you just seem so happy right now.
You know what it is? I really do believe it's a gym change. I'm actually here right now at Factory X right now, just finishing up with Coach Mark Montoya. I've had my family out here in Colorado all week. The training's been going amazing. The aura he brings just to the environment of the gym. It's a relaxed, fun environment, but at the same time, you're still, on point, and we know what our goal is. And everyone out here is just having so much success. I mean, we've had guys from, the Dana White Contender Series winning contracts, the guys winning big fights in LFA, like all these other organizations. It feels like everyone's winning here, and I think that's just rubbing off on everybody.
How often do friends and family kind of chime in on what's going on in your career, give you advice, and do they seem just as excited as you are for all this?
Yeah, I mean, I get the text from, my mom, my dad. They're a little bit overdoing it a little bit. Hey, your fight's this far away. You better be doing this and that. I'm like, Mom, I've fought this many times already. I've had almost 60 fights already. I know how to approach every fight. We're good. You go do what you do, and I'm going to take care of myself for a little bit.
There you have it. All right. That's Steven Siler. Steven, listen, man, I know we'll be talking some more. We've talked many times before many of your fights, but with it being so close and it being a stacked show, we'll keep it short today.
Hey, I want to tell you.
Sorry,
I want to tell you a story about Steven Siler, because when Steven was brought to my attention as a fighter, I seen Steven fight, and I was like, man, this guy, there's no quitting this guy. He comes to fight, and he'll fight till that final bell, whether he drops or whether he drops the other guy, but he's fighting, right? And I love that mentality in a fighter. When he finished his opponent in the first quarterfinals, I told him the cage. I said, congratulations. He goes, hey, boss, this is the reason why you signed me. And I went, exactly.
There you go. Yeah, no, Steven's always brought it, man. He's always been a fun guy to cover in the sport. And actually,
and one of the good guys as well. Steven's a great man. And, the camp he's at, Mark Montoya, he's a great coach as well. So I think they make a great team together.
Yeah, Steven's dad went to the same grade school as me. So, we're talking 30 years ago. Wow. And I actually went in the same grade with his aunt. And through a connection, one of my buddies goes, hey, do you remember Michael Siler and Michelle Siler from IHM, which stands for Immaculate Heart of Mary? I go, yeah. He goes, well, Michael's son fights. Can you get him on the show? And I just had my moment of, I hadn't heard of Steven Siler yet, Right. And I was like, yeah, all right, I'll do you the favor, blah, blah, blah. And, but basically almost just like, yeah, all right, let's just get this done, Right. We have Steven on the show. He was cool. And then I saw him fight. I go, fuck. This guy can fight. Yeah, exactly. and right away I went from hey man, sell him better or whatever. He's not just a dude that has a fight coming up. Right. Homeboy's a professional fighter who can fight, and he's exciting. He's exciting. And ever since then, I think we've had him on every single time, and he never stops to amaze me, in the way he's just mature.
So true. Like that first
minus
fight,
the ice cream for breakfast, but other than
that first fight I saw of his, I'm thinking it was in Strikeforce. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but
no, it was UFC. It was Cole Miller in UFC.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. And I was like, wow, this dude's freaking And I love that mentality. I love that attitude of, you know what, we're doing this until I drop. You know what I mean? And that's who Steven Siler is.
Yeah.
He's one of these guys that you meet and just super nice guy, great guy, humble. But, man, mess with him, he'll put your lights out.
For sure. Yeah. Well, we'll be tuning in next Friday, Steven. We really appreciate the time, as always, here on MMA Junkie Radio. You versus Nazareno Malagari, along with Lance Palmer and Andre Harrison. I mean, there's some really, really good names on this that made it to the quarterfinals, and you were the #1 guy. So congrats on that run, and hopefully it keeps going for you.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, that's Steven Siler. We tried to connect with Andre Harrison, but we'll probably shift him over to tomorrow's show, and that's fine. I thought we had a great PFL takeover with the president here, Ray Sefo, hanging with us, co-hosting with us. Ray, let me ask you one last thing here before we move on. Do you remember, like the same thing I asked Alexander, do you remember when someone approached to you and said, hey, man, we want to do WSOF, which now became PFL? Because I know that $1 million idea wasn't birthed just this last year, with this being season 1. This was something that was thought about years ago. It just didn't come into play. But, you know, you were coaching fighters, you know, and you didn't have to do this, but you elected to do this. And tell me about the payoff, the journey, and what was ever promised to you. Has it been worth the run here that you've been on?
I mean, yeah, I get to thank the good Lord every day that I get to do what I love to do, and this is my life. Like, you know, like we were saying earlier, I'm in the gym 6 days a week. If I'm not in the gym coaching and working, I'm in my office working PFL. So it's my dream job. I loved what I do. I love that I'm able to share knowledge with fighters, and I mean, just to this day, I continue to learn as well. So,
you were even a current fighter back when all this started, right?
Right,
yeah, you're still
exactly.
Fighting.
But yeah, no, the just seeing it all come together, and you know, this is not a one-man job. You know, just having the whole team have the same vision, same goal. Makes things a lot easier, you know what I mean? And it's the same in the gym. It's the same in my office. When you have people that's striving for the same thing, you're going to continue to grow and continue to learn from each other. And that's what I feel very blessed and lucky that I have the team that I have, not only in PFL, but also at Extreme Couture, because just like any working environment, if it's a positive one, you're going to continue to grow together. If it's negative, you're only going. There's only one way you're going, and that's down. You know what I mean? And so, it's been a very positive journey. It's been a very positive ride, but the journey continues. And like I've said all along, the most proud moments for me is, or should I say, what makes me super happy is when, you know, I hand a contract over to a fighter and just see them glow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because so it's just giving that opportunity back to the sport and back to fighters, and so my journey continues to grow, and I mean, you know, we hope to be here for a very, very long time.
Right on, Ray. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. What do we wait? We're 9 days away from PFL 8. The playoffs start in less than a month. We will know all of the different 12 fighters that could possibly win $1 million, and we're less than 3 months away from those finals itself in New York. All right, we are out of here for today. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Check out PFL. We'll remind you all next week. Go out there and be a champion.
And lost on every deal. All you need is strong heart and a nerve of steel. Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas with your neon flashing and the one-armed bandits crashing. All those horses down the drain.
Guys,